There's a lot going on in the presidential race. We're going to have two new entrants in a matter of hours, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and current Senator from Florida, Marco Rubio. How does this change the race? What does it all mean? We're happy to have Reince Priebus. He's the head of the RNC, joining us live this morning. Reince, good to see you this morning.
Welcome. Hey, good morning, Tucker.
So the Hillary Clinton campaign, if you talk to anyone who works for her and you say, well, why is she running? What's the rationale for her campaign? At its core, you always get the same answer. It's time for a woman. Is that a reason to run for president, your biology?
Well, I don't think that's a core reason, but I think it's also kind of what she sees as her personal destiny. I think that's really the reason she's running for president, because it's something she's always wanted to do. It's something she's aspired for. She sees it as her opportunity. And, you know, Tucker, if you look at the way that she's rolling this out, though, it really does tell you how they view their operation. She's coming out very quietly. She doesn't want to get a big splash because they want to make it a coronation. And if they can kind of have their cake and eat it too, ending the speculation as to whether she's running, but then doing it so quietly so as not to actually create an environment of competition. And so, you know, it clearly is a very different situation on the other side of the aisle.
But do the Republican candidates have what it takes to beat Hillary Clinton? Seems like we're seeing the field start to shape up right now. What do Republicans need to say or do to try to stop the Hillary juggernaut?
Well, if you really kind of just take a step back and look at what's going on, she's actually not really doing very well. If you look at the polling, especially over the last couple of weeks now, a majority of Americans don't find her trustworthy. If you look at the battleground states, you saw some of the polling last week where a few of our candidates are actually beating Hillary Clinton head-to-head. Here's her problem. I mean, this is really just political 101 here. Her name ID is at 100%. Which means everybody knows who she is, but yet her approval ratings are below 50%, and people don't find her trustworthy.
Right,
So she's got total saturation in the field.
But Mr. Chairman, is it enough for her to shoot herself in the foot and to continue to make mistakes, or whether it's the email scandal or others? Republicans sit back and wait for her to shoot herself in the foot. What do Republicans need to do to really take the next step and beat Hillary Clinton?
Well, of course, and you're right about that. You have to show an alternative, and Republicans are going to do that. And Republicans have to offer the solutions in regard to the economy, in regard to jobs, and most importantly, right now in the polling that we're seeing, is Americans want to know a pathway in the Middle East and across the globe, and that, you know, Hillary Clinton's going to have a lot to answer for in regard to her positioning and her product that she produced as Secretary of State. So, yes, you have to show the alternative. You have to get out there and offer solutions. But it certainly helps when the product on the other side is a product that the American people don't want to buy. Not to mention the fact that Barack Obama is under 50%, and you can't find a party that's able to continue their reign in the White House when their own president is underwater. So Hillary Clinton is actually a pretty good person for us to run against, and if you were me, you would want no one else to run against than Hillary Clinton. She unifies the party, and she allows us to raise a lot of money, and she allows us to recruit a lot of volunteers.
And with the timing of all of this, with Senator Marco Rubio expected to announce on Monday, a lot of folks going, man, is this timing good or bad that Clinton's expected to come out tomorrow and then just 24 hours later, here he comes? You know, is this actually going to be a good thing? You see this split screen. It could be a split screen moment. It's an opportunity for him to say, look how much different I am than her, and capitalize on maybe the spotlight that other news organizations that don't even typically cover politics may be covering it during this time period, or is it going to be bad and she's going to steal the spotlight?
Well, I mean, Marco Rubio is a good contrast and a great face of the Republican Party, there's no question, but kind of just going back again, Hillary Clinton doesn't want any press. I mean, she'll get her press tomorrow, but look, she's announcing on a Sunday afternoon via Twitter and a short video. She's not looking for the spotlight. She doesn't want it. She wants to freeze the field and move on and receive the Democrat nomination without any pomp or circumstance. That's what's going on here. She wants to raise money and move on. So if she was looking for the spotlight, she'd go out there and get it and fill a stadium. She doesn't want it. And so, look, I think that she's a pretty flawed candidate. I know that she's a big name out there, and it's sort of surprising I would say that, but if you look at the polling and you look at what Americans think of Hillary Clinton, it's not very good for her.
Well, let's take a look at a poll from a key swing state, Colorado, that's kind of moved back and forth over the last 30 years, but it's an important state. The lineups, theoretical, Republicans, fill in the blank versus Secretary Clinton. Versus Rubio 41, Clinton 40. Versus Rand Paul 44, Clinton 41, Cruz 41, Clinton 42. Now, these are pretty close, but I'm struck that Rand Paul, who is kind of ignored by a lot of the political press and certainly discounted by many in Washington, is doing the best. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. You know, he's working hard across the country, and he's getting into Black and Hispanic and Asian communities. He's talking about economic growth, and you know, it doesn't surprise me that all three of them are doing well. But what it also should tell everybody is that when Hillary Clinton, who has 100% name ID, is actually losing head-to-head in key states against our candidates that have maybe 30, 40% name ID.
First-term senators.
It tells you people they're not buying Hillary Clinton. So I think the Democrats have a lot of trouble.
Well, Tammy Bruce said something very smart. We played it earlier on our show, and her main point is we don't need another freshman senator. And she also makes the point that we don't need these legacy candidates. What we need in this country is something new. So that would exclude Jeb Bush, and that would exclude Marco Rubio. Do you agree, disagree with her take on that?
Well, look, I think there's one thing that we have in our party is a lot of opinions and a lot of smart opinions. So, look, I think it's up to the voters and the delegates on the floor of the convention. That's ultimately what matters. And I can't pick favorites and handicap our potential nominees. But I do know, though, when you look at our party and you look at the new faces and you look at the diversity, we really do have a young, diverse party. And we just have to do a better job bragging about it, and I plan to try to make that happen.
And it is a strong field. We've got a fun moment of the show that we've been letting all of our guests share with us. It is National Pet Day, and we have poached a picture of Apollo. Tell us about Apollo.
Well, Apollo is going to be celebrating his golden birthday on April 13th. So he's going to be 13 years old, and he was born in Racine, Wisconsin. And he's a big beagle, and he's a good little guy. He misses the backyard in Wisconsin, though, but he gets outside here in Washington, D.C. once in a while. The kids love him.
Like a lot of people, he can't wait to get out of D.C. He looks like a good dog. Why Apollo? Where'd you get that name? I like it.
Well, I have to honor my Greek heritage, so he's the only Greek beagle, I think, out there right now. And,
he's the only one.
Strong name for a Greek.
It's fantastic. Reince Priebus, thanks for joining us this morning.
All right, talk.